Do you want to self-publish your own brand of kids' activity books and make a full-time income? In this video, we are going to look at a self-publisher who has done just that and are making close to $10,000 per month in royalties. Let's see what they did to create this kind of success so that you can do it too. Hi, I'm Caroline. Welcome to my channel. Every single week, I share videos all about self-publishing books so that you can build your own business self-publishing low and medium content books on the Amazon KDP platform. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, then give this video a thumbs up. Kids activity books are classed as more medium content books as opposed to low content. And medium content isn't really a standard term used by Amazon KDP. It's just a way that I like to describe books that are not low content. Not too long ago, Amazon finally did give low content books its own category on the KDP platform, but they class low content books as books that have no to very little content within them and have repetitive pages throughout. So this is books like notebooks, journals, and logbooks where every page within them is exactly the same. Although kids' activity books are not high content, they are definitely not low content. They have more content than a low content book, and they do not have repetitive pages throughout, and they can encompass a whole range of different topics. Things that fall under the category of an activity book include maze books like this one right here. This is really fun, creative types of mazes for kids to complete, but it can also include other puzzle type books like crossword puzzle books or word search puzzle books. It includes coloring books, which can be the traditional coloring books like we see all across Amazon, or it could be more unique ones like these color by number coloring pages and coloring books. They can include learning how to draw books like this one right here, which is a step-by-step learn how to draw book, or it can be something like this one, which is a dot-to-dot type of learning how to draw activity. And the books can be just the one topic like these ones here, or it could be a book full of a variety of different activities. So for example, on this activity book, it's going to include mazes, word searches, connect the dots, coloring, picture puzzles, and more. Same with this activity book, which includes mazes, dot to dots, color by number, matching items, spot the difference, word search, how to draw. So you can choose whether to focus on one specific activity for the whole book or create a book that is going to have a bunch of different activities within it. Then there are the more educational type of activity books for kids, like this one here, Learning to Read, which has activities within this book which are aimed at actually teaching a child how to read. These educational activity books also focus on things like learning how to write. So in addition to learning how to read, your books can teach a child how to write. There's also books that are going to teach a child scissor skills, which is teaching kids how to cut paper in different shapes and sizes using scissors. There are activity books for any type of educational subject, learning to read, learning about colors or numbers or shapes. And so what I really love about the kids activity book niche is that there is a really great opportunity to build a brand within the niche and create a series of books featuring all the different activities, whether that be the fun activities like coloring and puzzles, or the more educational ones teaching foundational subjects like writing and maths. One brand that has done this really well is the Lucas and Friends brand, one of the more popular brands in this niche. But in terms of branding, Lucas and Friends has created a whole range of educational activity books for kids, covering all the different topics and subjects that a preschooler or children sort of under the age of 10 would need to learn. As well as Crystal Radke, who used to self-publish her books, and her Learn to Write workbook has been consistently one of the most popular low or medium content books on Amazon for years. But those brands are not the brands that we are looking at today because, for one, I have already shared videos in the past about both of those brands and their books, and two, they are sort of the top tier brands on Amazon who have been around for years and have been very, very successful and have sort of taken it to the next level in terms of building a fully fledged publishing business. The brand that I want to look at today is a self-publisher who doesn't have a massive brand presence on Amazon, meaning their books are not the best sellers and they don't have hundreds of books published, or they don't have traditional publishers coming to try to take their books and traditionally publish them out to mass market, but they do have a handful of books that are selling consistently. And I think sometimes looking at the really big brands, although I personally find it inspiring and motivating, it can also be quite intimidating and overwhelming to even think of trying to build a business like that for yourself. So today I'm sharing a brand that is perhaps a little more relatable, where we'll be able to see that you don't always have to have books that are bestsellers or in the top 100 or even the top 1,000 of all books on Amazon, and you can still make a very decent full-time income and have a successful self-publishing business. So this is the brand we are looking at today, Samira Taj, and she publishes a range of different kids activity books. They currently have just under 40 books published, and they cover a range of different topics, from coloring to mazes and puzzles to learning how to draw. And what's interesting here is that although they have built this brand around activity books, they haven't set up the brand in a way where there's sort of a consistent theming or a consistent brand. Something I talked about in my last video was branding and creating a consistent brand where your books become recognizable to the customer because of your branding, and how important that can be. Like what you'll see here with the Lucas and Friends books, you can easily recognize their books because of their covers, the colors, the fonts that they've used. So when you're searching for an educational kids activity book, these ones are going to pop out because it's so recognizable, especially if you've purchased one of their books prior. But Samira Taj hasn't done that. They also haven't picked a specific type of activity book to focus on, like only publishing educational activity books or only publishing puzzle books. But what they have done is they have stuck to an age range. So they've created a whole range of different activity books, but all of their books are targeting kids under the age of 8. One advantage of doing this is that targeting those younger kids specifically means those kinds of books are actually going to be fairly simple to make because they don't need to be too detailed or too complex for that age of child. Let's take a look at a few of their books. We're going to take a look at the top 6 books that they have. First one that we're going to look at today is the coloring book for toddlers aged 2 to 4. We're going to have a look inside of this and you'll see how simple these coloring images are. So the image is extremely big, a lot of white space, thick bold lines, and then just the name of what that image is underneath. So super simple coloring pages for that age of child. This book was published in 2022, so a couple of years ago, and at the moment currently sitting with a bestseller rank of 3,811. The next book we're going to look at is Mazes for Kids. This is aimed at kids aged 4 to 8, and these are going to be really fun and creative mazes. Now, surprisingly, these mazes are not that difficult to make. I do know a way that you can create these, and my next video I will go into some more detail about how to create these specific fun creative maze books or maze pages. And this book was published in 2022 as well. Most of the books from this brand were published 2022 to 2023, and this one is currently sitting with the bestseller rank of 5,709. The next book we're going to look at is Color by Numbers for kids aged 4 to 8. So these are just a little bit more unique than a regular coloring book where the child doesn't have to think about what colors to use. It's all laid out there for them and they just have to follow this little legend or this little key down here and color the page in according to the numbers. It's a very simple type of coloring book, but perhaps for kids who haven't quite gotten into their creativity yet, or they like to sort of have a more structure on how to do something, these books are really good for that. This one published 2022 as well and currently has a bestseller rank of 6,681. The next book that we have is a dot-to-dot book, again aimed at kids aged 4 to 8. So that seems to be target there is those kids aged 4 to 8, which is that preschool to early school age. And this one is a learn how to draw, or maybe not so much a learn how to draw, but being able to draw with a dot-to-dot. And these are just really fun activities and they are quite unique. And this one published in 2021, currently sitting with a bestseller rank of 12,194. The next one is another dot-to-dot book. This one's aimed at kids 8 to 12, so a little bit bit more difficult, a little bit more involved, a lot more numbers that are included in these images. So not only are these books good for teaching kids maybe how to draw, but it's also about numbers, learning sequences of numbers. So obviously a younger kid, a toddler or a preschool age kid cannot count to over 100 yet, which is why these ones are a lot more complex and aimed at those older kids, as opposed to this one where the numbers probably only go up to maybe 20 or 30. You're sort of getting two things out of a dot to dot. You're getting the drawing and the coloring, but you're also getting that really fun way of a child learning numbers. So this one was published in 2022 and has a bestseller rank of 25,478. And the sixth book that we're going to look at is Mazes for Kids, again aged 4 to 8, and this one was published in 2022, and it's just going to be again those really fun creative styles of mazes. This one published in 2022 as well and has a bestseller rank of 19,253. So just looking across those 6 books, they're sort of the best-selling books, those 6 out of the nearly 40 books that they have. You can see that the range of topics is quite different just across those 6 books. There's different activities across all of them. And this brand seems to like to stick to one type of activity per book rather than creating activity books that have multiple different activities within them. And just looking across the bestseller ranks, they're not fantastically performing books in terms of they're not bestsellers, they're not in the top 100 or the top 1,000 of Amazon, but they're just ticking along consistently. They've got great reviews and ratings, and customers are loving them. All right, now let's take a look at the numbers and how many books they are selling so that we can work out how much royalties this self-publisher could be making. I took each of those bestseller ranks for those top 6 books and I popped them into the Kindlepreneur book sales calculator along with some of the details about the books, like how many pages and the selling price, and it gives us the estimated amount of books selling each month based on the bestseller rank. So the first book, I just had the bestseller rank in there of 3,811. That means it's selling around 670 copies per month. And with the selling price of that book, the royalties are around $1,400 per month. The next book I popped in the bestseller rank, 5,709. And that one is selling around 580 books per month and making just over $2,200 per month in royalties. Book number 3 is selling around 530 books per month and making just over $2,000 per month in royalties. Book number 4 is selling around 350 books a month and making $1,100 approximately every month from that book. The next book has a bestseller rank of 25,478, which means it's selling around 250 copies per month and bringing in around $670 per month in royalties. And the last book that we're looking at is selling just under 300 copies a month, and that is just over $950 per month in royalty. So when we add up those top 6 books, the books are selling around about 2,700 copies per month, and those 6 books are bringing in just under $8,500 in royalties each month. And I prefer to look at royalties rather than the actual selling price of the book, because that is what you actually receive from Amazon at the end of the month after all the fees for using the Amazon KDP platform have been taken out. And also, as I said, this is from just 6 of their books and they have nearly 40 published, so they could be making a little bit more than this. And it's always so interesting to see how much you can make when you have just a handful of books doing pretty well, doing just all right. It might not seem like much when you are comparing to the bestsellers or the top selling books in a niche, but if you have a bunch of books just doing all right and making a few $100s each per month or $1,000 each per month, it really does add up at the end of the month. Okay, what are some of the things that this self-publisher has been doing to generate sales and build up this brand of books over the last few years? Now, they do have a pretty professional looking website, but they obviously don't maintain it because they don't have all of their books on this website at all. None of the books from Amazon are on this website, even though it says that the paperbacks are being sold from Amazon, but they only have listed these other activity books. So the books on here don't really match up to the books on Amazon. There's also some pages on their website, like this supplies book, which I'm assuming was going to be maybe Amazon links to other resources that they like to perhaps generate an affiliate income, but this page hasn't really been set up and it's not really working probably. So they probably started this website with the intention of having it be part of their brand and their marketing, but it hasn't really done much since. Now, they do have links to some social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest, but they do not post there. There's no posts on Instagram, and some very, very old posts from 2021, and they do not have any followers there. So again, they probably set these up when they started their brand but never did anything with it. There is also a place on their website to join their email list, and of course we can't see how many subscribers they have or how much this is impacting sales. Considering what their website and social media is like, I doubt their email list is very active either, but I could be wrong. So what else are they doing to get sales? Are they running Amazon ads? And yes, they are running ads. When I search for the brand on Amazon, you can see here they have a sponsored listing. SP is for sponsored. So they have sponsored listing for a few of their books. Maybe they run ads across all of their books, but at least they're definitely running them on the more popular ones. So it seems like their only marketing strategy currently is by taking advantage of Amazon ads and building their sales that way, which seems like it's a pretty good strategy for them at the moment. It's very low maintenance, low effort. And at least if they do want to start promoting their brand away from Amazon, they already have those channels and those platforms already set up and ready to go for when they do want to do that. I hope that you have found this video interesting and that it gives you some inspiration and some motivation because of the fact that this brand does very well, creating a full-time income from books that aren't necessarily the best selling kids activity books and don't seem to spend a lot of time or effort on outside marketing away from Amazon. If you have been wanting to start self-publishing your own kids activity books, then there is no better time to start than now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.